Welcome back to Barbecue and Bottles. I'm Jared, and today we're going to be making the steak that got me into barbecue in the first place. We're going to be doing one of these on the charcoal grill, and then we're going to do the other just on the gas grill for comparison. We're going to get Kai to do the taste test at the end. We'll see if he can tell the difference between a steak done over charcoal versus one done on gas. So if you're into that kind of thing, stick with us. So we've got two Canadian AAA beef New York strips. These are really thick guys, about 1.5 inches thick. So we're gonna be doing them reverse sear so that we get that perfect medium rare all the way through. Now to start with, we're just gonna go in with a little kosher salt. So I'll get these guys seasoned up. We're gonna be really liberal with the salt here. Just given how thick these steaks are, it's gonna be difficult to over season them. Get that salt patted in, flip them over. Do the same on the other side. Now I've had these steaks out of the fridge for about 20 minutes just so that they come up to room temperature, or at least the surface of the steak does. Get that salt on there, and then we'll just pick up the steak, get the edges to get some of that excess salt that's just hit the butcher's block here. Now that these guys are seasoned up, we're just gonna go fire up the grills. We're over at the charcoal grill, and we're using our Kamado Joe for this one. So we're just gonna make sure the charcoal basket's got some fresh charcoal in it. We've got a little bit in there from our last cook. Just top it up there with a bit of Fogo. We'll get our blowtorch out here. And with the blowtorch, we're just gonna light it in a few different spots here so we get the basket charcoal nice and evenly ignited. So now that we've got the charcoal lit, just gonna get the lid down. We're gonna open up our vents, and we're gonna be aiming for a temp on the inside of the grill here of about 250 to 300 degrees. So we'll let this warm up. Should take 15-20 minutes, and then we'll get the steak on. So we just hit a temp on the grill here of 250. Get the charcoal spread out there a little more evenly. I'm just gonna set this up for the indirect cook. Now we're gonna do this indirect just for the first part of the cook until we bring the internal temp of the steak up to about 200. And then we're gonna sear it off at the end over ripping hot coals. Now we'll get our steak on here, and we've got the temp probe in the thickest part of the steak so that we can just monitor that internal temp, make sure it's coming along. So we've got the gas grill heated up to 600 degrees Fahrenheit. We've got the steak on here. We're just gonna let this go for 90 seconds, and then we're gonna turn it 90 degrees, and that's gonna build up those grill marks that we're looking for. Then we'll flip it over, do the same on the other side, and at that point, the crust will be formed on the steak, so then we can move it to the indirect side of the grill, finish bringing this up to temp, and this is gonna be just our traditional gas grill, thick New York strip steak. You can see grill marks coming along nicely. Again, turn it 90 degrees so you get those hash marks. So now we're done. Just look at those grill marks. So when we flip it over, if you can, try and put it down on a fresh part of the grill. When you put your steak down on there, it cools the grill grate slightly, so you get better hash marks just when you flip or turn it if you actually go to a fresh part of the grill. So we've got hash marks on both sides. Now before we move this indirect, we're just gonna sear the fat cap. That'll just help render some of that beautiful fat cap on this New York strip. Don't want to burn it, just want to give it a nice little golden kiss. You can see that fat renders off down onto the flavorizer bars. Just look at that. Now we'll sear the other side of the steak as well. All right, now we'll get this set up for the indirect portion of the cook. So we're going to turn off these inside burners. So the only burner we have on the grill is over on this side here, and that's because we want the heat to come up out of this side of the grill and just work like a convection oven where we're indirectly cooking this steak and bringing it up to temp. Now we'll get another meat probe in here. Again, we're going into the thickest part of the steak, just like that. So now we can monitor the temps from our iPhone and just make sure we don't miss a beat. So we're gonna close this lid down. We'll let that go until it hits an internal of 130, and then that steak should be finished. So you can see here we're monitoring the temps from our app. The one on the charcoal grill is at 270 at the grate level. We've got 108 internal temp, and then the one in the gas grill, got it going a little bit slower, 165. We're almost 120, and that's because we started it off with such a hot sear. But this one will catch up when we sear it over those ripping hot coals. So our steaks just hit an internal of 120 here, so we're just gonna take this off, set it aside, and get this ready for direct grilling. So we got our grill grates back down in there. Let these coals come up to temp. We are gonna get that down. You can just start to hear it sear right away. Now the way you know your coals are up to temp, if you just put your hand over them, if you can only hold it there for like a second or so before it just starts to burn, you know they're hot enough to sear off your steak. So much like the gas grill, we're gonna let this go for 90 seconds. We'll turn it 90 degrees, and then we'll flip it over, do the same on the other side. Now it's really important to keep monitoring your temps during this stage of the cook. You don't wanna overcook your steak. We're aiming for an internal of 130 on this guy. We're at 122 right now, but the temps can really creep up on you if you're not watching. So you can see we're starting to get the crust and hash marks on this. This, in the end, it's just gonna get a nice mired reaction across the entire steak. We're not really going for the hash marks so much as just a really nice dark crust across the whole thing. Now we're just gonna get the fat cap seared up here. Just hit 130, so we're gonna bring this guy off. Set him down here, let him rest while the gas grill steak finishes up. Okay, we just hit our internal temp of 130 on this guy, so we're gonna get it off and resting. So we've got both steaks off the grill. They've been resting for between 5 to 10 minutes. We miraculously somehow figured out a way to get both of these steaks ready at the same time. So we're gonna carve into these. Now, if you look at the difference between the crust on each of these, you know, they actually have a fairly similar crust. We probably have more of a diamond hash mark on the gas grill steak than the actual charcoal steak. And then the charcoal steak has a bit more of a reddish hue to it, and that's just from the smoke of the charcoal. Now we'll carve in the gas grill steak. So we've got our charcoal steak, we've got our gas grill steak here, and the reason I'm doing this cook is because charcoal grilling is really what got me into barbecue in the first place. One of my buddies, Chris, made a tomahawk steak over charcoal for New Year's one year, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Then his father made some homemade bacon that was smoked over charcoal, and I was hooked. I got the bug immediately and dove into this. So I want to share that experience here with Kai. I want him to do a side-by-side taste test comparison against a charcoal steak versus a regular gas grill. We've done both of these medium rare, and we maybe had a bit more carryover with the charcoal steak, but it's on the margin just because we did that heavy sear right at the end. So I'm gonna do a quick taste test here just to see if I can tell the difference. Great steak, not gonna complain. That's, if you wanna hit the easy button and not use a charcoal grill, that's a great way to go. Now for the charcoal steak. You can tell the difference immediately. Now I'm not gonna describe the difference right now because I don't wanna bias Kai. So we're gonna get him over here, we're gonna get him blindfolded, we're gonna hand him a piece of each steak and see if he can tell the difference. All right, we've got Kai here, he's our videographer. We're gonna put him through the taste test here. So I'm gonna load 2 forks up and I'm gonna mix them around here so he doesn't know which one's which. All right, I'm gonna go in with this one.
Oh, okay.
Here's the fork.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh my god. Oh my god. That one completely melted right in my mouth.
Yeah, that's just getting like a USDA primer, a AAA grade steak. The marbling just fully renders down over the course of the cook, makes it super juicy,
Yeah,
super
it's
tender.
like butter.
Like butter?
Yeah. Oh my god.
All right, here's another fork for you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah. I think I know what it is for sure. I'm gonna guess that one was the charcoal.
Yep, you nailed it. And so what's the difference? Like, what do you taste in the charcoal versus gas?
I couldn't taste it at first, but then I taste the way it smells. Like the charcoal, you can like taste the charcoal.
The smokiness.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it, folks. There is a very clear difference between cooking a steak over charcoal versus a gas grill. The charcoal, you get that really rich fire charcoal flavor just infused within the steak, and it is an awesome flavor profile. Nothing wrong with the gas grill. If all you're looking for is convenience, you can go for that method. I'm not gonna judge, but the charcoal steak, honestly, in my opinion, is just a cut above from a flavor standpoint. So if you learned something from this video, consider smashing that like button. If you liked and enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel for more of these easy recipe and experiment videos to come. Thanks for tuning in.